That's alright, it's perfect.
You son of a bitch.
It's so perfect.
Just talk with your mouth full.
Ah,
It's just cereal.
this pumpkin flax granola is delicious with a little bit of milk.
Ugh.
It's our advertisement section.
Mm-hmm.
Every
What
morning
is
before
going
I podcast,
on? What?
Next lower third.
Oh, jeez. There's a new Dota update. F.
Yeah, it just
Cancel
effectively.
the podcast.
What was that?
Oh, there's a new Dota update. Cancel the podcast.
Nope. This is what's up, guys.
All it did was remind me that I have to.
Can you tell me what that is?
It's Persona 4 Arena Ultimax.
Oh, I only have the arena. I don't have Ultimax.
Because it's not out yet.
Oh.
And the embargo's not up till tomorrow, so I can only tell you I've been playing it.
Damn it.
Or the streaming / YouTube embargo.
Right.
And then the review embargo is up Friday. It is awesome.
Sweet.
Cool. All right.
You guys.
Everyone do their
Struggle is real.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I finish this?
Yeah.
No, not at all. You have to eat that the whole podcast.
God damn it.
In fact, you have to eat. Yeah, you got to eat the cereal the entire time. Like you just keep refilling the
While
bowl.
doing a squat, Mike. While squatting.
Alright, well, let's see. I'll be Tony Horton here.
Give your best Tony Horton impersonation of eating cereal. Ha!
Ha! I almost dipped my mic into the bowl. That'd be bad. Mm-hmm. My cat's gonna get me.
Yeah.
Damn it, Gypsy.
This is adding exciting intrigue to the show.
And knock the bowl out of his hand. Or knock him over would be even better.
Oh, wait. She's around my legs.
So,
Alright.
So what you've been playing section, what we'll do is we'll talk about everything but Destiny, and then we'll all talk about Destiny.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Just do it at the beginning. So.
Like my fancy runner's overcoat
It's got
pullover
bum
thing.
holes. Yes, the bum holes.
Yes. Nope, I had one bite left. I failed. Shall we podcast?
We should.
Yeah.
Alright.
All right.
Is this 131?
This is
Yeah.
121.
Actually, I'm gonna go get a drink. I'm gonna be coughing all night. Damn it! Gypsy, you stay there.
Smoke so much of that weed.
It's not legal here yet.
What?
Not in Oregon.
What kind of backwards province are you living in?
Place where it's all but legal in name.
Yeah, it'll be legal here come November. Besides, if anyone here wants it, they either smoke it already or go to Washington.
It's so far away.
10 miles. It's 10 miles from my house. Plus, there's a high school like
10 miles could be in the same the high school. Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
I'm just saying, if you want to score some cheap weed, going to the high school is probably an easy way to do it.
I know.
Although I probably look like a narc now, I'm old.
Alright.
Co-Opticast does not condone drug use.
Yeah.
However,
Or
That's your
paying for
bitch.
selling it to minors at a high school.
I didn't say selling it.
He just says it may be readily available for purchase.
Alright.
It might be findable.
Can we start this then?
More
Yeah, do
findable
it.
than legendaries in Destiny.
Alright,
Damn, son.
Here we go.
Topically relevant.
Oh, snap. Alright, let's do this.
Who's counting down?
I am.
Oh, crap.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Hold on. 3,
Ah,
2, 1. Hello, and welcome back to another Co-Opticast. This is Co-Opticast, episode number 131. It's Monday, September the 22nd, 2014. The crew's all here. We're hyped. We're ready. Mike's drinking out of a Minnie Mouse glass, like a good dad should. And so we're going to talk about Destiny soon enough. I feel like we've been talking about Destiny on like almost every one of these episodes for the past month and a half, but now that we've played like millions of hours, we can talk about it again.
yeah.
Let's talk about some other games first. And let's start with Jason, because there's another game that keeps popping up on his thing, and it's not even a video game.
No, it's not.
Something
But it is cooperative.
And didn't we talk about it last time?
Yeah, we did. We talked about it a lot. But I'm still playing the Lord of the Rings card game. I have to
As
go
am
down
I.
Yes, we have to go down to Northern Virginia this week for a couple of days, and I'm meeting up with one of my coworkers. I found that there is a bar in D.C. that you can bring in your own food, and they have beer that they serve you. So, a coworker and I are going to go in. I'm going to bring the Lord of the Rings game with me since he hasn't played yet. Introduce him to it over some drinks. Should be good times. Aside from that, just a little bit of Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. I mean, just a very little bit, not nearly as much as Mike has.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that.
But I
Objection.
have seen how dark it gets when Phoenix Wright becomes a baker. Then it gets
Yeah.
real dark.
He burns the bread.
He makes a nice rise Ryback.
He puts the lotion on his skin. Oh, wait.
Exactly.
Whoa.
That's not the right game. Just kidding.
So, that's all I've been playing, aside from something that we're going to talk about a lot in just a second. Dead air.
Go home, host. You're drunk.
Yeah,
Nobody can hear Nick.
Yep. All right.
All right. I take control.
Yeah.
I take control.
Okay.
What you been playing, Locke?
Yeah, Locke, let's do it.
Aside from that Destiny, I've been playing that Defense Grid 2.
What's that
Review.
like?
That's
hear
a
me?
tower. There you go.
Oh man, sorry. That's bad when the host goes out.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Bad
I
luck.
was gonna. I took the rock. Now I'm gonna shoot a jump shot from Jason, and pew, from the 3-point line, Defense Grid 2.
He's on fire.
It is on fire. It is a very good upgrade to Defense Grid 1. Big picture mode here. Not the Steam big picture mode. I'm sure you could play it in big picture mode, but overview of Defense Grid. You are a commander trying to keep a xenomorphic terrorist threat coming to your power cores. That's the story. That's all you need to know. But it's funny because I'm on the PC version. I believe Tally played the PS4 version. Is that right,
Yep.
Nick?
Yeah, PS4.
It is built for a console through and through. They have made it so that when you, and this is important, and I don't like talking about controls on radio because it doesn't translate well, but I'll do my best to paint a word picture. Instead of having a mouse cursor move around the screen, when you move your mouse, it like moves a reticle on the screen like with the camera. So it's
like Halo Wars.
Yeah, it's like emulating a controller. So I was thrown off a little bit with that, but it is going to be awesome for the console. I haven't played the console version, so this is strictly PC version. But yeah, I was thrown off by that, but after a few matches, you get used to it. Super easy controls. You can rotate the camera and then move the camera with WASD, and then speed up with F. It's got a special power. It's got special powers that you can use, which I can't remember. I don't think they were in the first one. It's basically like an emergency light strike array if you need to panic. But cool towers, really cool towers. They changed some stuff up. Of course, you've got the regular gun turrets, flame turrets, rocket turrets, but they got some really neat like damage over time turrets and some other things with effects like that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm only about. They've broken the missions down into It's like different planets that you go to, and each planet has 4 or 5 missions. I'm on the 3rd planet now, so it's got a ton to offer, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. But tasty review tomorrow.
Yeah, have you played any of the co-op or not?
Not locally. No, I'm gonna get someone in on here. Hopefully, I can plug in a controller and be on a mouse and keyboard, and the other person can be on the
That'll be a good
the old
thing.
twin sticks.
That'll be a good thing to test.
Yeah, because 2 people on 1 keyboard sucks.
Yeah.
But like I did
That
that
would
with
good for those intimate moments, really. But
The only time it ever worked is you don't know Jack.
Yes.
yeah, that was a ton of fun.
When everyone huddled around.
Yeah, and you had to reach over the guy in the middle to screw people.
Yep. But yeah, Defense Grid 2, fun times. It's a fully voice acted. The narrator is back. He is awesome, as usual,
Sweet.
as per his Dota 2 announcer pack. Not too much else. Yeah, I'm gonna check the multiplayer tonight or tomorrow and report back.
All right.
So.
So I see you still got Dead Rising 3 listed there. I check in every couple days. They still
How's that
haven't fixed
update coming? They haven't fixed it.
No crash fix yet. So.
Oh, that sucks.
Womp.
I am super lucky and really fortunate that I wasn't affected by the crashes, even though I do have an NVIDIA card. I think you do as well, Nick.
I do, yeah.
That's who it seems to be affecting the most. But game is strong, too strong. It's really fun and it's really good. It's kind of taken my state of decay addiction away, and I've started just going on Dead Rising. It's just so easy to hop in, blow stuff up, combine things. I think because I didn't finish Dead Rising 2, when I go back to Dead Rising 2, I think the hardest thing is going to be not being able to craft stuff on the go, which was a big change between the 2 games. So that game's really good, except for the fact that it's busted and needs a patch. So we'll keep checking in. I want people to play that. Just don't buy it yet. So
yeah.
Well, if you're waiting for it on PC. But yeah, other than that, got some Destiny. Been playing that on my Vita. Take that, haters.
Looks like apparently apparently the driver update might have fixed some stuff. There's a new NVIDIA driver that just came out. I think it was Friday, maybe last Friday. There was the NVIDIA 24 thing that they had going on where they announced some new video cards and they also put out some new drivers. So I'll have to give it another shot to see if that fixed the issue.
Interesting.
Anyway, Mike, what about you? What have you been playing besides Destiny?
Besides Destiny, I have played. I've actually played a lot of Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, but that's under embargo, so I can't talk about it. But if you played Persona 4 Arena, you probably have a pretty good idea of what it is. I have been playing an awful lot of Theater Rhythm Curtain Call, which is the Final Fantasy music game, the sequel to the Final Fantasy music game, and it's quite good. It's got the original game had like 75 tracks in it, and was pretty, frankly, it's pretty basic. You could play the songs. They come in, there's like field music, battle music, and then they have like cutscenes and the music that go with those, and it plays nice videos in the background. But Curtain Call expands the game to have quests, so you can actually go like wander an overworld, then you fight a boss, and go into a dungeon to fight a final boss. And those are all randomly generated, and you can street pass all those to other people. But the big draw about it is that it has 221 tracks.
Wow,
that's crazy.
In the box, and it still has DLC to buy more.
That sounds about right.
Oh wait, there's more.
It has per game, it has between like 5 and 17 songs per game that it has, and it instead of just being the mainline Final Fantasies, it has Final Fantasy Tactics, Mystic Quest, Type 0, Final Fantasy 14, and a bunch of other spin-offs. But it's pretty fun. Oh, and Crystal Chronicles, of all things.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, that's a deep dive there.
Yeah, well, It is funny that you can actually select, your party members, and one of the party members is Benjamin, the character from Mystic Quest, which is pretty fun. They do neat things with the characters this time, where you level everybody up, and there's like a collectible card game that was not a game, but you can collect cards, and they were in the first one, but they were basically just kind of like completionist stuff. And now you can collect cards and fuse the cards and turn them into stat boosts for your characters.
Yeah, you can.
And I see Locke just like pumping his fists in victory.
Already excited about this game, and now I'm doubly excited.
Yeah, and then there's like a treasure hunt around the internet where there's like passwords you can enter and score like rare versions of the cards. And it's pretty fun. They also added the first game had a co-op mode. They took it out and replaced it with a versus mode, which is it's interesting. I don't know if I like it or not, but I've played enough of it to have ranked my character up. But it's good. And I've also my 3DS has been getting a workout because I am now about 18 hours into Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, which is two great tastes that taste great together. Basically, if you've ever like Professor Layton games are a series of brain teasers mixed up with like a graphic adventure game, and they always tell like an interesting little story. And Phoenix Wright is obviously he's a defense attorney, and most of the game is spent like investigating crime scenes and getting into wacky hijinks in the courtroom. And so the way it works out is when you play as Professor Layton, you are doing the exploration and like advancing a lot of the story and seeing what's out in the world. And then they'll be like, you've come to a locked door when you're trying to investigate something, and then it'll turn into a puzzle. You solve the puzzle and move on. And then the game basically centers around a town, like a fairy tale town, and there's a bunch of witches causing trouble, and Phoenix is basically the public defender in the witch trials. Like, people get accused of being a witch, and it actually works really differently, because in a normal Phoenix Wright game, it's basically like point out the flaws in their logic and just kind of puzzle your way forward. And in this, it's basically you take on like up to 4 witnesses at the same time, and they mob you, and they logic doesn't work on them, because they're just like, this person's a witch because I said so, isn't it obvious? And you have to get through that somehow. And it's really good. I'm really enjoying it, but Christ, is it dark. Like, neither one of those series is known for being particularly...
They're pretty lighthearted.
Yeah, like Phoenix Wright games always surround like a murder, so there's death, but like they're basically a straight up comedy, and there's been a couple moments in the game I was like, did you really go there? Huh? Okay, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm pretty sure I'm nearing the end of it right now, so I recommend it if you like either of those series. And if you like both of them, you probably already played it. So,
cool.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. I've been playing some NHL 15 on PlayStation 4, and hockey season's almost here, so getting my fix of that. I'll say the one thing that they really nailed is the broadcast stuff. I mean, it's easy to be fooled that you're watching a video game at times. It's pretty good looking. So, but the big brouhaha about the game is that they cut a bunch of modes, and yeah, there's a couple pretty big omissions, like the EA Sports Hockey League, which is one thing that I had played quite a bit of the past couple of seasons, where you take six people online and each pick a position and play against other folks, which is a lot of fun. So that's missing, but basic stuff is there. You got regular seasons and online versus and some other stuff. So if you're just looking to get your NHL fix that way, it's a strong contender.
I heard they really gutted the season mode.
It's you used to be able to actually like play in the minors and have more control of the minor league stuff, and now It's relegated to kind of like this like scouting mini game kind of a thing, um, and it's. I think you used to be able to do things like if you're really hardcore, that you could like set concession prices and all this other kind of stuff. Like I never really got into all that stuff. Like I just play the games that are on the schedule and I'm done. But I know there are people that are like super into it. But it's solid. It's their first next gen game, so they basically started from scratch. So it's not that they cut features; it's just they haven't had time to build them yet.
Do you think they'll add stuff? I mean,
so yeah, they're saying that they're going to be patching some things in. I don't have the list off the top of my head, but I know the EA Sports Hockey League thing wasn't one of them. It was a couple other complaints. Like I said, the thing was like someone put a list of features like side by side how many game modes there were. I want to say like last year's game had like 20 different modes of play. Like it was obscene. Like nobody ever played all of them. It was almost too much.
yeah, they need to consolidate stuff so they can get a tighter package.
Yeah, and honestly, most of the game modes were just like options, more or less. Like you could play the Winter Classic, right? Well, that's not really a game mode. It's just a stadium you're playing in. It's kind of things like that where it's not a ton. It doesn't necessarily have to be separated out as something like that, but they've got a solid base. I'm sure next year's game is going to be really, really banging.
I heard they did a lot of really good stuff with the puck physics.
The puck physics are really solid. Even like just the physics with the players in general. Like you'll see them do things like drop their stick and pick it up, and how the players collide, and some of the goalie collisions and some stuff like that. It feels really good. Like a lot of times video game hockey, like the ice can feel really crowded, and there's not a lot of room to work. But I feel like they've kind of nailed the spacing and the speed for this. So the other game I've been playing a bunch of is Stronghold Crusader 2, and actually, if you might have watched Mike and I stream some of the co-op of that before the podcast tonight, and I'm really enjoying. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's they've actually gotten a full campaign now. I guess before the campaign was kind of just a couple of little skirmish things, but now they have a setup of kind of challenges and stuff like that to play through, and there's a whole bunch of AI lords to play against. But the basic premise of it is you build up a stronghold, and you have to feed your people and keep them happy, and build up your army, and then of course build your stronghold. All the things about building castles and destroying castles and stuff like that. So, and then you just take on other guys. It's like a RTS with some extra layer of strategy to it.
Yeah, strategy.
But it's really cool. So, like Mike and I, basically, we got into it with the co-op. You can share responsibility of one army, more or less, one
Right.
keep. So you don't have to each have your own keep and worry about it. But like there's sometimes Mike was working on building buildings and stuff like that, and I was concentrating on the resources, selling stuff to make sure we had money for things, and building guys and stuff, and. But yeah, and then when we got to the end, we actually assaulted the other keep. We brought in some catapults and stuff, and the destruction physics on the walls are really, really cool looking. Like each individual brick and stuff, you can see kind of coming down.
For an RTS, it's actually like really impressive and satisfying.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
I liked it. I liked it because easing into a complex RTS is usually like I'll play enough of it to learn it, and then be like, all right, well now I have to get good at it.
Yeah.
And usually with RTSs, there's some kind of wall that you hit, then you have to just like beat against it till you get over. And this was really like, because their tutorial is super bare bones. So I hopped into the co-op mode with Nick, and like I had learned the basics of like building units and ordering them around and building the town and everything. But there's like no tool tips on a lot of the buildings. They're just like, this is a granary.
Yeah.
Build it. And so like being able to talk to one another, it, like really eased me into it, and I was getting pretty comfortable with playing it towards the end there. So
That's a pretty cool way to do things for something that could be quite complex if you think about it.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of systems at work.
Yeah.
Again, there's the double macro versus micro management. So being able to split that up and learn that way is I like it. I like that way of doing RTS.
And you can split it up so many different ways, because I mean, to build a unit, you have to have a person or a slot in the army for it, but you also have to have you not only have to have the building that produces them and the buildings that produce the upgrades that tech you up, but you actually have to produce, like, if you want a Templar, you have to have, a piece of armor and a specific mace and the upgrade that allows them to be built, and each one of those comes individually. So you have to be like, I need a whole bunch of armor, and I'm going to stockpile it in my armory so I can build, I can tech up later. So it's, you could have someone, like Nick could have just wandered around and played his army and just said, hey, I need some more archers. Could you build me some so they're ready when I need to send the next wave? And you could totally split it up any way you want based on what's going on. So
yeah, we had kind of we had taken an exploit in the map, kind of, and we built a wall and towers right next to kind of this funnel that the guys were going through, and put our archers at the top.
And we had high ground over their low ground, and
it was a constant slaughter. You just heard the whoosh of the arrows and the screams of agony as they tried to make their way up the hill towards it.
And the plaintive cries of our announcer saying, "My lord, we're under attack." And then you just hear all the enemies die, and we're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. So it's good fun. I still want to spend some more time with it. Kind of go through the campaign a little bit. I think there's three modes. The first campaign is actually called the learning campaign. So Mike, you had played the first mission, and I think there's 5 that kind of walk you through that step by step. And then there's a main campaign that's got, I think I counted 15 or 18 missions in it.
Nice.
So it's a meaty game for sure. It's out tomorrow.
And the only thing I would say about it that maybe playing harder missions will make it seem a little more complex, but it's you have a unit, and the units have all the abilities they have are passive. They walk up and punch something, or they stand back and shoot something. That you can't have your archers say, all right, I'm going to rather than take precise shots, they'll just blanket an area.
Right, I know what you mean. Yeah. So
there's not a lot of micromanagement of the units once they're actually out there. But I think it's probably due to the way the town building is a lot more intensive. It would be too much to be able to have that much control unless it was a turn-based game.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good fun. I'm hoping maybe later this week to have the full review of that. Let's talk Destiny. We've all been playing it. I think we've all played it together at some point.
I reviewed it.
Mike reviewed it. Technically I reviewed it today too with the video review. So I think more or less it's grown on everybody, but everybody kind of has the same minor annoyance with it.
I like it.
Accurate.
I think it's a fun game. I was able to tone down I was up here, way high up on the hype train at E3, and then it sort of tapered off as more info came out, or as it got closer to the release date, which helped me to gauge my expectations and not be disappointed by the end product of what Destiny is in its current state right now. Which is, I think, the best thing that you guys said in the reviews was a platform. I think Destiny is a really, really good platform. It has really cool fundamentals. It's got a lot of hooks from different genres, pulling some interesting things from MMOs and first-person shooters and loot-based games.
Mm-hmm.
And if mixing it into this thing. Yeah, go ahead.
If I can make a comparison to how I feel about it, it is a game that its flaws are actually obvious and many, but it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
It's the only other game in recent memory that I can point to that's like that is any of the Souls games. Those games, you can rattle off any number of crazy flaws with
they're
a
janky
Souls
as
game.
hell.
Yeah, they are janky. They don't look that great. They're just, but they are like the sum of the whole is better than any of the individual parts.
Totally.
And Destiny, and the thing about Destiny for me, the really big thing that I think is most fun about it is I've always enjoyed the combat. I don't think any console FPS plays as well as Halo. I've never I always find something that pisses me off about all of them, but Halo always felt really good and measured. And when everything got really hard, I felt like I was always able to overcome a challenge, and I wasn't impeded by the controls. And Destiny feels better than Halo in terms of the actual mechanics of shooting. The AI isn't as good. It's an open world. You're not going to be able to focus as much attention on creating the interesting combat scenarios that you got in a Halo game. But just going around, the vehicles, the riding the sparrows or the what's the enemy ones. But any of the any of the rideable vehicles feel great. You don't feel like you're flying wildly out of control on them, and the way the various styles of jumping work feel really good and interesting, and the abilities are fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's not as much to it as I would like, but since we wrote the review, they released a gigantic raid that everyone says is amazing, and there's new content coming this week. So
tomorrow morning.
I think it's funny because we look at it and we're like, oh, it's a loot grind game, and then we expect it to dish out loot like Diablo, and then we look at it and it's like, oh, it has raids, and then we expect it to have skill trees like an MMO, and then we're like, oh, it's a first-person shooter. We expect it to have 4,000 guns like Borderlands or Call of Duty. But it's weird because when you do away with that and just look at Destiny for what it is, I think it's a really tight package. I think it's a really tight game. It does some really cool stuff, integrating the competitive multiplayer with the loot back into the PvE. So, yeah. I mean, people are talking a ton of shit about it, which is fine, but I think that's people who didn't really know what to expect.
I think part of the problem is, and because it kind of adapts from a lot of those games, is the hardcore just tends to consume way too much, way too fast.
Oh, yeah.
And, if you looked at Bungie's weekly update from last week, they said that the game basically doubled in terms of the average play time what they expected. It was like 3 to 3.5 hours per session.
Holy cow!
Is what people were playing.
Children.
So if you look at that in that scope, it's okay, yeah, things happen a lot faster than they should have. So people hit the wall a lot quicker. Yep. And you can see that there's a plan for weekly and bi-weekly and monthly and every 3 months DLC content for this game to keep things free to do. There's the daily challenges, there's the bounties. There's still that little bit to do, to keep it interesting. But people hit there so fast because they just it was all you can eat buffet on it, and they didn't put the damn controller down. And that might be a mentality that was. They heard MMO, and that's kind of the thing. In an MMO, everyone, it's the race to use WoW.
Get 70, to max level. Get to max level.
Right, max level, whatever it was, right? But max level in this isn't all that high. It's not a big deal. And it's interesting to see how early Bungie actually kind of capped it in terms of just experience-wise, right? To get to 20, we'll say that's the max level in this case. And then it's okay, well, now I just can't sit there and do stupid stuff, though people are sitting in front of a cave and shooting it to try and, get their level up in a different way. They try. It looks like they tried to go around that whole grindy thing in terms of people just doing stupid stuff to get experience. Yeah. But then people still found a way around it anyway.
Because, that's part of what's broken about the game is that if they want people to go through and experience this end game, and then they put the raid at a level that is out of reach by normal play standards, right? Normal play standards, if you go in and you hit the level cap of 20, you might play a little bit after that. You might find some gear then that gives
My
you
point is,
to get to 22. So the reason people are staying in front of a cave is because the game isn't built in such a way that players are trying to find that exploit so they can get to the content that they're releasing.
But you're missing my point. They got there twice as fast as they should have. They didn't get a chance to add in the other things of what would have been there before it. And I think that's where the problem comes in.
But no one was itching ready to go for the raid content until
And
it
not
was
only
like,
that-
oh, this is coming out next week, right? Then people started pushing far harder to get to the raid content, right? I mean, it wasn't like no one knew when the Vault of Glass was coming or anything like that. They just said September, and then it was like, oh, this is next week. They pushed harder to get there before anyone really knew about the loot cave, right? That came out in this past week. People were finding all other kinds of exploits for the game because that's the kind of game people are expecting to play. They're expecting to play a game that is like Diablo or is like these things where they are going to get this loot to be able to help them and push them further into what they need to go to for the in-game content.
But the end-game content doesn't exist yet. The raid isn't the end-game content.
It's part of it.
Well, no, the end-game content is the December DLC or the March DLC or whatever comes after that.
No, that's not. No, the raid, the higher level strikes, all that is the in-game content.
There is no end game. That's
if we're talking about it in MMO terms, Jason's in the right because once you hit your max level, so in any MMO, you race to the level cap, and once you hit the level cap, you play any MMO, and they're like the true World of Warcraft begins at level 70 or 85 or 90 or whatever it is now. And that's the level at which you stop gaining new abilities, and the game goes from being a adventuring game to a loot acquisition game and a structured content game. And that is what happens to Destiny. You hit level 20, and then if you have finished the story, if you finish the story and you're doing Crucible to pass the time, all of the new content that's coming that gives you the ability to acquire new gear, and as you gather gear, it starts unlocking more and more of the end game content for you to do. It's like in World of Warcraft, in original World of Warcraft, you hit level 60. But just because you're level 60 doesn't mean you can go waltz into Molten Core and start raiding. You have to go through a process of getting a bunch of extra good gear through dungeons or strikes or what have you, farming for things, buying stuff off the auction house, slowly acquiring new stuff, and then at the same time going through a lengthy attunement process to give yourself access to the raid, and then beating the one raid and getting all the loot out of it makes you ready for the next raid. But all of that began when you hit level 60, and that's why MMO players talk about the end game begins at the level cap. That is exactly what Destiny does.
And
to AT.
And Bungie used that exact terminology too. The game begins at level 20. So for them, they have the same ideology, and what you're talking about, Nick, is what the clash is with this game. Is people expect there to be a finite set limit. You hit level 20, you've reached the end of the game, and Bungie is saying no, this is not like those games. And so everyone who's been a first-person shooter,
you just contradicted yourself there.
Objection.
Now do a mystery.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the bigger point, the bigger thing that people are missing here is Bungie's games have always been about story and multiplayer, and you earn the same items in the competitive multiplayer that you can earn by grinding and shooting at a cave. You can get legendary items and everything else, and I think that's where you're supposed to go too, right? You're supposed to go over there and play a lot of that Crucible stuff, and that's why they had the events for that, and the things that the marks that you earn over there, and the things that you can unlock and through that. Like that's a whole other piece, and people forget about that. They would rather sit there and shoot at a fucking cave instead of playing some competitive multiplayer. Which I don't know. Maybe that's bad design in their part.
I think the gap here is that Destiny doesn't give you anything new to do other than the raid at level 20. You do all of the strikes that you could have done at your leveling as you level up. You can replay story missions. You can do all that, but it doesn't. Unlike something like World of Warcraft, which had like, once you get close to the level cap, there were like 6 different dungeons that you could farm for loot that were completely inaccessible to lower level characters. Whereas in Destiny, by the time you're hit level 16, you have been able to not only complete the game, although it probably would be a little difficult to beat it at 16 because that's all rated at 18, but you can do every strike. You can have done all of that by the time you hit the level cap, and there is absolutely nothing else for you if you're not a PvP fan.
And
what's so people find that, okay, the next thing I can do is go into this raid, but the only way to get more gear is to keep replaying the stuff I have already done in harder and harder difficulties, and that is either really appealing to people, or they say, I don't want to do that because Bungie did a piss-poor job at rewarding me for going on these high-level strikes.
Yeah.
I can get the same amount of loot from taking 30 minutes to run through a high-level strike with other high-level players with good gear. In that same 30 minutes it takes to do that, I can go stand in front of that fucking cave and get at least 20 times as much stuff.
Yeah.
How much?
And I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah,
it is
true.
like any strike. Like you complete a high-level strike, you might have a couple blues, like 3 or 4 blues, and then a bunch of green gear. And if you got really lucky, you might have a purple to take to the Cryptarch and get it. In that same time, I could have run through 100 greens. And I spent an hour at the loot cave last night with Locke. I had like 25 engrams to disenchant. Like it doesn't compare. That's why people take the easy route, because the content that's there, well, it's really fun to play and I really like it. To the type of player that just wants to power through, is not interesting enough to hold their attention, so they take the shortest route possible. And that is right now. That's what everyone's complaining about with Destiny, is it doesn't give you enough. And I think there's plenty of game there. And I played it for 20 hours, and saw everything in it. But the type of person that's going to poop sock an MMO wants to play it for hundreds of hours, and they might not be a PvP player. And so all they have is the PvE content. And even so, like the Crucible content, there's only a handful of modes. And people coming from Halo to play multiplayer are like, well, where's my big team battle? Where are all the vehicles? Where's all this? Where's all that? It's not there yet. Or instead of it being there, it's a monthly event that comes around, and then you get the Iron Brigade or Iron Banner or whatever it is every so often, and you have special events that surround that. But for both types of player, there are noticeable gaps in content. And the only solution for that is to wait for Bungie to release it. And all people want to do is bitch about it, because that's what people are good at. They want the instant gratification.
They're playing 3.5 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good point. I remember we were talking about this, Nick, when we were playing. But if you and I didn't play it a ton. We played like half an hour to an hour a night when it came out the first 2 weeks, let's say. I was so satisfied with the go in, do a mission or two, stop.
Yeah, that's exactly how I played it.
It was awesome, and then we looked. It's like, oh yeah, this would get super boring because you're going to the same areas, you spawn at the same locations, doing the same stuff every time. If you played for 4 hours in a row, if you played I feel bad for people that had to review the game.
But absolutely.
So your argument there kind of is saying, well, people are just playing it wrong. Destiny built a game.
They're not playing it. They're not playing it wrong.
Meant to be played in a certain way, and now people are playing it wrong by playing it a bunch instead of just going in and playing a couple of missions.
It's like saying let's see, what's the best way? The best way to compare it to? It's like comparing it.
I don't think there is a comparison in this case. I think
I'm trying to think of another media thing to compare it to. It's like saying, you gun through an entire season on Netflix,
Sure.
And they complain that there's not enough content available when you know that there's 5 seasons available, but it takes a year to make a season, kind of a thing. And now you're like, well, why don't I have my other ones yet? Well, I didn't make them yet. It's not time yet. It wasn't designed to. Sure, you can, marathon through the entire thing, but in reality, that's not really how they intended it, right? TV started as a weekly thing or whatever. So it's kind of like that. I think is maybe a comparison. I'm not saying that.
I see what you're going with that, but yeah.
I don't see how you can fault them for not having enough content when any of these other games launch. Right? They're full-fledged MMOs with subscription models and everything else backing them and all this planned stuff. And they're saying outright there's all these planned things coming, like they are coming, and yet we're 2 weeks past launch.
And let's not forget that there is the nebulous 10-year plan surrounding this franchise.
Exactly.
Also, so I think, even though I described, the traditional, modern MMO framework earlier because I feel it's apt, I also feel like this game is way more akin to Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
It was a big online game, but at one point you just started doing the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over again.
It was a place to go hang out with some friends for an hour,
Yeah. And that's what we were doing last night. I went to the loot cave because I'm like, I need to see what this is all about because this sounds really stupid. And it was really fucking stupid. But Locke joined my fire team. He said, "Hey, what you doing?" I said, "I'm looking at the loot cave." And so Locke joined in, and then Andrew jumped in, and all we did was just start talking shit for an hour, and we shot things, and then they have that crazy event that when two armies start fighting each other, right around the cave. That's fun stuff. The thing that Destiny needs really is more emergent things to be happening in the open world.
Yeah.
And when emergent things happen, like the public events, or when the two forces in the area just start getting in this big firefight and all these elite monsters start showing up, things like that, the game should, rather than running on a clock, which is what the public events do right now, what it should do is detect there's a high concentration of players in this area, so the game should react to the number of players in the area. And a lot of MMOs do that, where they're like, okay, there's a quest to kill, Timmy Power Gamer to get a drop, but every time you kill him, he takes 10 minutes to respawn. But if there are 20 players in the area, then we should probably respawn him once a minute, or so there's adjust the timer. And these are all things that are possible. We're on really high-end modern hardware at this point, so there's no real excuse to not be able to do this. So I think that's the kind of thing that will grow over time. And in my review is that this is a framework for a lot of stuff. It's going to have, in a year, Destiny is not even going to resemble itself. It will have I'm going to assume it will have completely changed. Bungie with Halo was always really good at post-game support with map packs and whatnot. So the multiplayer was always being balanced and rebalanced against the new maps and all that. So if they take that same level of support and keep churning out stuff to do in Destiny, I think in the end people are going to be happy. But every MMO I've ever played has suffered the launch problem. It's all right, I get it. Now what do you have for me now? Because I've already done all this. I need more. And they're going to have to churn out content that is meaningful quicker than they probably plan to. Because the next event's you're going to be able to get bounties from a different person and do new bounties. And that's cool and all, but I already do bounties, and you're not releasing any new environments. You're just making me go through the same content again, except instead of the end spawning a special named guy pops in the middle, and I kill him instead. So it's not really it's new content, but it's not new content. and they're
Right.
like if they can't meaningfully release stuff, they're going to find out that it's going to bite them in the ass.
I think in some way their beta actually ended up hurting them. I think it the hype and everything like that built way more than it could sustain upon release. And
Yeah, no, that's a.
I mean,
that's a good
like
point.
here's the thing. So there's what four environments in the game right now.
although wait, sorry, I'm going to interrupt real quick. I say hurting them, but I hurting them only in the sense of people's reaction, nowhere near hurting them in terms of the actual sales number. All this too just really matters not one bit in the fact that they have now sold well over $500 million worth. I mean, like, obviously they have people to keep up with for it, but still, none of this afterwards talk has affected sales one bit, which is kudos to them.
So you can actually look. So if you have the Destiny companion app, there's 4 environments. There's Earth, there's the Moon, there's Mars, and Venus. So 4 big open world maps to go through, and the where is it? The app has a places list. It's like, oh, cool. Well, let's see what's in the places list. And you look at the top level categories, and all of a sudden, there are things like the asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn. Like, these aren't places that currently exist in the game, but the game is cluing you in that you're probably going to get a couple more environments to run around in. And it's going to be really interesting considering those are gas giants, so I imagine that we're going to be going into space stations.
And there's something about Mercury, too, in the game now. Like I'm trying to think if it was in a mission or something they were talking about.
Well, yeah, they talk about the Vex turned Mercury into a giant robot or whatever.
Isn't there a PvP map based on Mercury, too? I know one of my friends actually was on a map that was on that planet.
Yeah, I think there is. So, anyway,
I look forward. Beyond all the debate, I can't put the fucking game down. So it's clear something's pretty good about it.
It would be really. I love it. I'm having fun. It'd be awesome if they fix some stuff, but they're battling with like new content versus like patches. Like they have to fix. Obviously, you have to fix that loot cave thing. And just little things too. Jason brought up a good point. Is like you could really just if you changed where you spawned a planet for each mission, it would change. It would feel like a totally huge different game if you didn't spawn in the same time or in the same place every time.
Part of fixing the loot cave thing, I think, is fixing the loot system as a whole. And if they give people better incentives to go on this content that they want, right? If they want people to be in the strikes and they want people to go there, give them a little bit of a better incentive. People are talking about, now that it's been completed, oh man, the loot drops from the raid. Well, everyone now is trying to get to that raid, but they need the loot to gear up there first, and so what's their only option? Go stand in front of a cave for however many hours to get stuff. I mean, they got to find a way to attract players to the content that they want to attract them to.
Well, it's part of the reason people stand in front of the cave is you can only get 100 Vanguard or Crucible marks per week. So, like once you've earned all your marks, like there's literally no point to doing any of the other content because you're totally dependent on drops, and all you can do is grind rep 10 at a time until you get. Until you've done 250 patrols to level up 1 rep level. So,
cool.
I like Destiny quite a bit. It has problems. We're all still playing it, so why don't we talk about news, Nick? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
All right.
Let's. I'll start here. The folks at I can't remember the name of the developer. The Toy Soldiers developer is
Toys for Bob or something?
No. It's hold on. Wait a second. Signal Studios. There we go.
There we go. That's it. Why did I think Toys for Bob? Who is that?
They used to make Skylanders. I think they're making a new one too. I think they're back making Skylanders.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, Toy Soldiers Cold War was a lot of fun. It was a game where you played. It was set in the obviously Cold War period, and you kind of played as little toys, and you had the crazy Rambo guy who yelled things. and it's kind of it's a tower defense slash third person shooter kind of hybrid game. And what makes it a lot of fun is that you can take control of a lot of things. So you take control of the soldier, you can take control of like tanks and planes and all these things. And it was a lot of fun, and it had full co-op support. You can kind of jump around between characters, and each player's controlling them and working on your thing. But a new one's announced, and it's called Toy Soldiers War Chest. And I could just notice that it's spelled wrong in our story.
Toy Soldiers.
What month is it?
Oh, God.
August or September?
Yeah, that was that. Anyway, what's cool about it is it's not set in any specific time period. There's going to be 4 sets of toys to play from, and the first 2 that were revealed are World War One and these kind of crazy-looking unicorn fairy toys. And so when you see it in action, it's really pretty insane looking, because there's like all these like colorful sparkles and rainbows and stuff coming from one side, and then the other side's got, you know, World War One kind of cannonballs and machine guns and stuff like that. But it's going to follow the same same gameplay style. You can take control of any of the characters and the turrets and the stuff like that. And it's set to come out next year. And I don't know if we have platforms. Just PS4 is announced so far. But I really like. I don't. Did you guys play the first game? Any of the other? There was 2 of them, Cold War, and then I don't remember the first one.
I played the first one. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a fun little game. So, looking forward to that. But we do have some sad news. And Mike, can you let us down easy?
Well, hyperbolic headline that we posted aside, Rock Band or Harmonix has stopped updating Rock Band Network.
Aw, shucks.
So they haven't released anything new on it since April 2013.
Yep.
And so they're basically shutting it down, but you can still acquire the content if you've already purchased it. So it's available. Like, if you really want to buy all the Rock Band content, you better do it now, because it'll be gone forever. But if you own it already, you'll still be able to download it for your stuff. But they updated that thing for 275 straight weeks.
Holy smokes.
There are 2,100 songs on it.
Jeez.
And
all those note charts.
Yeah.
And yeah, so God, yeah. So and the Rock Band Network was actually the bit where people could release their own stuff through it. So like a band that didn't actually get into Rock Band could put together note tracks and release it through Rock Band Network. And so according to John, so the 2,100 songs went through Rock Band Network, and roughly the same number of songs were created by Harmonix along their official DLC releases the entire life of the franchise. So, holy shit, guys. I could barely deal with the fact that there were like 200 songs in Rock Band 2.
Yeah, that's insane.
I don't even want to know. I know some people that had like all 4,000, like everything. They just set aside $10 a week and bought Rock Band stuff all year.
But what a great way to just fund your entertainment.
Yeah.
I guess I'd just get carpal tunnel.
I guess. But I was always on the vocals, man. It was like my home karaoke unit.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's speaking of sort of platforms. What a great platform it was. I remember when people were freaking out over the shift from Guitar Hero to Rock Band, and then those Rock Band sequels being like, oh, I thought this was going to be a platform, but just like look at the dedication of that team at Harmonix there, just day in, day out, chucking up songs.
Yeah, it's kind of a pity that genre came and went, because it was really like that was like the bread and butter of Co-Optimus for a while, was the number of music games. Like how many Rock Band and Guitar Hero games do you think Mark reviewed over the years? So it's sad. I'm pouring one out, but Harmonix makes cool stuff. Hopefully they'll be able to get some traction on their new things.
Well, they're aren't they working on the Amplitude remake?
Yeah, the Amplitude Kickstarter.
So that could be cool.
That got funded. Yeah, it'll be good.
I think it's interesting how many of those people have gone on now to so many different projects and other things, from doing all that, John Drake and all the rest of that crew.
Well, it's collusion. He's friends with everybody with Giant Bomb, and Giant Bomb knows everybody, so they're gonna, get John Drake a job at Sony with Man God Shane Bettenhausen.
Sure.
Like, it all runs deep. It's nepotism, man. Nepotism. Gamergate. It's collusion, guys.
Let's rise up. Let's rise up. We're making our own controller music game, Mike. We're doing it now.
I know when I first started going out in the world, and as a young man, my dad told me it's about who you know, Michael. It's about who you know, and that holds true. Do you know somebody at a place you want to work? You got a much better chance of getting an interview than if you didn't, and that's just how it fucking works.
Fuck this. Let's just go to the loot cave.
Loot cave. Let's do it. I'm going to get my Vita and loot cave while we podcast.
Let's talk about sticking it to the man with some indie stuff. Jason's got us covered there with the latest.
I'm not sure if it's sticking to the man, but sure, why not?
It's indie. Of course it's sticking it to the man.
Yeah, right. Although, anyways. So I got a chance to speak with Matthew Griffin, who's one of the developers, and a lot of other things over at Yeti Trunk, who you guys may remember from Wanderlust Rebirth.
Good game. Such a good name.
Yep.
Yeti Trunk. Yeah. I dig their logo too. But really good interview with him. Just a large part of it was the last time we talked with him when Wanderlust Rebirth came out was back in 2011. And since that time, I mean, obviously, that was at the start of when Indiana Co-op came about and indie games started coming about. Tons of stuff has come out since then, and one of the biggest things that the article I was kind of interested in talking with him about was his alliance with Chucklefish, who's now not only a developer of their own game, Starbound, and a couple of others, but they're also be sort of this publishing house for indie games. And talk with him some about that and how he kind of met up with all the guys there and got involved with working on a few other games like Risk of Rain, which is
one of the best
one around the
games
sides. Yes, until Witchmarsh comes out. I cannot wait for Witchmarsh, and I cannot wait for Wanderlust Adventures either. I mean, it's Secret of Mana on the PC kind of a thing. So, really interesting article, worth checking out. I'm looking forward to when the game itself, like I said, is released. And the biggest problem I think Wanderlust Rebirth had was the network connectivity. And so now Adventures is all done through Steam and everything else, so it's going to be easy to pick up and play with friends. So, go give it a read. There's some interesting
holla at your boy.
That's right. And he compares it to Demon Souls and Dark Souls, so there's another reason to go read it.
Those games are garbage.
Speaking of garbage, did you hear they delayed the new DLC by a week, guys?
Ow! I have nothing to do until then.
That's okay. It gives Mike and I a chance to go through and finish up the other one.
Yeah.
Hard. Game's hard.
All right, so we got one more news story to cover, and Locke, you're gonna tell us about a new Settlers game.
Yeah, Settlers, pretty well-known strategy game. So you would assume that the 8th one would also follow suit. However, they're mixing it up. They're doing a remix.
People made the same suggestion about Sacred 3, and look what happened there.
I know, which I'm kind of cool with. Using the universe, the theme, flipping it on its head, and make a beat-em-up game. Why wouldn't you? In a Settlers. Because, if you think about it, we do have a lot of these sort of city-building, colonization strategy games, but you don't get to fight in any of them like that. So I think it's pretty cool to take it. And judging by these screenshots, the Settlers 7 art style, a little more cartoony than it was in the past. It's looking awesome. So yeah, I'm actually more interested in this than any of the other Settlers games currently. So
I'm just hoping that genre of game brings back like the dancing mini game because there hasn't been one of those since Sid Meier's Pirates.
I know, right?
Yeah,
1, 2, 3. You'd have to do all the waltzes.
Should settle it with a dance battle.
Yeah, or insult sword fighting.
I'm gonna bring on bring down my army nicknamed Sparkle Motion. We're gonna dance our hearts out.
I would love it. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Obviously, just a weird thing, but I think that's pretty cool. It's not totally hack and slash beat 'em up, but it has some RTS stuff in there. It's kind of this weird hybrid thing going on. I'm mostly excited for the hack and slash stuff because I think the game looks cool as hell.
That does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded pretty interesting. I guess it just went into a closed beta, but they said you still got the RTS element, and then there'd be like missions, and then you can go up with four other folks.
Go do those missions. Yeah.
Yeah, do like bosses and stuff. So.
Yeah, that seems super cool.
They kind of look like Dota heroes. I don't know if I'm okay with this.
You're okay.
Dota heroes look awesome. Say what you will about the rest of that game, but its art style isn't one of its problems.
It's true.
I think that's about it. The only other thing, let's see, I had a quick mention that there is a new mod out. This is kind of off the beaten path, but a new mod for Doom 3.
What?
It's called Doom Reborn, and what they did is they took the original Doom and the kind of the textures and the graphics and stuff and remade it in the Doom 3 engine. And it just hit beta. It looks pretty cool. I downloaded it. I haven't had a chance to check it out, but I've heard some good things about it. So.
Is it through the workshop?
No, the Doom doesn't have workshop support on Steam, but they have an installer and stuff. If you just hit up ModDB and search for Doom Reborn.
Sweet.
There's a couple of really cool Doom mods. For Doom 1 and 2, there's that Brutal Doom mod, which adds physics-based blood and stuff to the game. And
why not?
Yeah, why not? So it's amazing the legs that series has, and
it is always on the Steam quarterly sale. Buy all of Doom pack.
Yeah.
It's been on there since it started. So
I think that's it, though. Any stories?
I already mentioned the Dark Souls DLC getting bumped.
I'm really curious. I don't know if it's co-op yet, but they just announced that pharmaceutical game that I want to play.
Pharmaceutical game?
Yeah, it's like a tycoon game, but you play as a pharmaceutical company, which I think is kind of interesting in this day and age.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should make my wife play that.
Did you guys watch the Battleborn co-op trailer? Haven't seen they put out so they put out about 20 minutes of footage for that. And that's it's Gearbox's next game. It's I think it's 5-player co-op. They showed the different characters in it and kind of how they worked. What I found interesting was the game seems to kind of overload you with enemies instead of how Borderlands you kind of had a set number and they kind of went in cover and did some attacks and stuff. Where this it looks like they just throw waves and waves of guys at you. So, but it looks really, really well written. Again, there's some pretty funny jokes and stuff in the trailer. But yeah, we posted that, so that's something to check out.
Nice.
And what else? I think that's about it. Star Citizen got some co-op. You can play that in I think it was 2 or 3 players. You can play against bots. Basically, it's a survival mode right now. That game constantly every week they're adding stuff to the preview thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that just cracked 56 million. They've raised.
What the hell? Really though,
it's gonna have a GTA budget by the time it releases.
The average person has spent. I think it comes out to $79 a copy for that game.
I think I spent $30.
I spent $0.
Yeah, I won't tell you what I spent.
I am really looking forward to playing that game, but
if you have to ask.
Jeez. I wonder if it's less or more than I spent on Dota, Nick.
It's less. It's less. I'm sure of that.
Okay.
I didn't spend that much. I got whatever the lowest tier was above the thing.
The thanks for coming out tier?
No. It was I don't know. I think it was $99.
Awesome.
Whatever for the one cool super ship. And yeah, the game, not to get off too much, but it is ridiculous the modeling that they have done on those ships. Like the ship I have has, I'll say, maybe 12 or 14 thrusters over on the body, and when you bring out like the external camera and you start steering it, you can see each individual thruster reacting differently to move the ship around. It's insane. Like, you see your guy inside the cockpit kind of shifting around from the force of the stuff, and like, when it's obvious, like, this is like Chris Roberts, like, it's the game he's always wanted to make in terms of like big open space exploration, like privateer meets wing commander. It's like he's combining everything, and then you're gonna have like the ground combat stuff too, and it's insane. Let's just hope it doesn't become too big and like
and
collapse on itself.
That's the worst thing that could happen. So
but yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, I think we're gonna wrap up the show. We've talked a lot about things and stuff. Next week we'll be streaming the new Gauntlet, which comes out tomorrow. And so
wizard needs food badly.
Yes, I guess Locke's going to be the wizard.
Elf's going to shoot the food.
Jason's gonna be the elf. Am I going to be the Valkyrie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
And
Okay.
yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll stream something else this week. Well, we're trying to stream some more. But, yeah, that's it. Leave feedback for us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. We're Co-Optimus. Follow us on the new Steam Curator store. Just join the Co-Optimus group and follow the curator thing. We're trying to make our way onto the front page here for that. And you can leave us voicemail, 646-926-6748. And show and tell time. Locke, Jason, you guys got anything you can show? Mike showed his something last time. What do you got?
I showed my white PS4 off in that video. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Should go watch that. I don't have any.
I can show this.
Yeah.
This was taken from my second pack, if I remember correctly, because that was about the time that it came out. So this is the art print for
Tales of Monkey Island.
Tales of Monkey Island, signed by Mr. Dave Grossman, and by up there Dominic Armato, with some personalizations about what the ingredients to grog are.
I got one of those.
Nice.
I got an even better. Jason got me that as well. He got the same stuff signed, but I think he got me an even better present. That was from because Dominic Armato is the guy who is the voice actor for Guybrush Threepwood, and my wife was pregnant at the time, so we got a congratulations on a baby coming from Guybrush Threepwood, which was pretty awesome.
Very cool.
I still have the recording.
I still got it somewhere too. I just don't remember where.
Yeah.
That's my show and tell.
All right. Well, that's the show. We will see you guys when we see you.